In this video, I will reveal Enzo's impossible box illusion. Here's a quick recap of what happened. Enzo started the act by challenging the audience to consider possible methods he could use to perform this trick.
Solution 1. Special lighting. Solution 2. A clever camera effect. And solution 3. A system of mirror.
He held a live feed camera and invited Deck on stage. Once Deck stepped into the box, Enzo handed him the camera, and the audience watched as he showed the interior, which appeared completely normal. A hollow beam was then pushed through the center of the box. Deck placed the camera inside it and stuck his hands out through the sides, creating a puzzling visual. Enzo then removed the front panel of the beam, pulled out the camera, set it aside, and withdrew the beam. One by one, assistants climbed out from the top of the box. First a man with a light, then another with a camera, and finally a woman holding a mirror. To prove no one could have been hidden inside, the metal shell was lifted away, revealing a transparent box that was filled with plastic balls. At the end, what looked like Deck stood up inside holding a sign. When the sign was lowered, it turned out to be a red-haired woman who pointed to the balcony, where the real Deck was already seated. Now, of course, we know there's no way all those people were crammed inside the box waiting to come out, which naturally leaves only one explanation. There had to be a hidden passage. A similar-looking illusion to Enzo's trick is David Copperfield's black box illusion, where the audience saw what looked like nothing more than the wall behind the box, but hidden in plain sight was a mirror tube, reflecting the grid so perfectly that the tunnel blended seamlessly into the background. In Enzo's first audition, similar to this one, he used the same strategy of aiming bright lights directly at the audience, limiting what could be seen in the darker areas of the stage. David Copperfield used this same bright lights principle in his Statue of Liberty Vanish, where a curtain was raised between two towers, and when it was lowered, the statue was gone. The illusion was performed at night for this very reason, rather than during the day. This gave Copperfield complete control over what the audience could and could not see. The statue was only visible because of its crown, the torch, and the ring of circular lights at its base. Once the curtain was lifted, those lights were turned off, so the statue technically disappeared into pitch-black surroundings. At the same time, the towers on either sides had powerful spotlights aimed directly into the audience's eyes. The glare shrank their pupils, suppressed their night vision, and prevented them from adapting to the dark. And while the loud music was playing, the entire viewing platform, including the audience, the cameras, the towers, and the radar, rotated slowly. By the time the curtain dropped, one of the towers was perfectly aligned to block the statue from view. In Enzo's case, the key question is how a hollow beam could be pushed through a box made of solid acrylic panels. A hidden flap in the center of the panel seems unlikely, since the close-up shows no cuts or scratches. And with clear acrylic, even the smallest tampering would have been visible on camera. The secret here is that the entire front panel fixed onto the front frame of the box is actually just a flap that lies flat on the base of the box before the illusion begins. And the back acrylic panel is designed with its lower third as a flap that rests beneath the front panel, while the center section where the beam makes contact is another flap that lifts upward when the beam is pushed through. Right after the hollow beam was pushed through, two hands appeared from the sides of the box. To get around the side panels and reach the openings, the panels were manually shifted inward until they touched the beam, creating just enough of a gap for the first assistant to position their head below the beam and push their arms through the sides. But where did this assistant come from? Well, behind the box were two powerful lights, and a narrow slit could be seen between them. That slit gave away the entrance to a hidden passageway, which the assistants used to crawl into the box. The passage was hollow and coated with Musso black, a material that absorbs almost all visible light. Furthermore, the metal box shell has an entire section missing, and this structure is removed from the acrylic cube and placed directly over the secret passageway, keeping it completely hidden once the act ends. With the box's structure and hidden passageway explained, I'll now walk through the act as it was performed. First, when Deck enters the box from the top, he immediately slips through the secret passageway and moves behind the lights. The blinding lights give him cover to exit the stage on the left and make his way to the upper balcony. Meanwhile, the live feed we see on the display from the handheld camera is real at the start, but as soon as the screen goes black for a few seconds inside the box, a pre-recorded video begins playing. Yes, Deck had recorded this video before the performance, since he was in on the act. By the time the hollow beam is pushed through the front, the box is already prepared. The front panel lies flat on the base, and beneath it the back panel is folded down. As the beam slides in, the handheld camera that Deck had passed to the first assistant is placed inside the beam, restoring the live feed on the display. After that, the front panel is removed. During this process, the left and right panels are shifted inward to create space for the first male assistant holding the light. He pushes his hands through the sides, positions himself, and then, as the beam is pulled out, he closes the panels back into place. He then crawls fully into the box and emerges from the top with the light source. Getting into the box is not nearly as difficult as it might look. Comparing Enzo's height to the box makes it clear the platform sits at his waist level, which means the movements, hands through the sides, then climbing in, are simple and comfortable to perform. After the assistant with the light exits from the top, the second assistant followed with the camera, and the third assistant with the mirror came out right after, using the same passageway. The final stage involved loading the clear acrylic box with the fourth assistant, the female volunteer in the coat, along with the plastic balls. She first locked the front panel back into place, then crawled inside and lifted the lower third flap of the back panel to seal the box from within. A hole with an inside flap was used to attach a pipe from the outside. Through this pipe, the box was filled with balls using a machine set up behind the lights. Once the box was filled, the fifth hidden assistant detached the pipe, slipped back through the passageway, and stayed out of sight. Only then was the upper metal shell removed and placed directly over the passageway, concealing it completely. That small gap between the platform and the passageway allowed the shell to sit directly on top of it, closing the space perfectly. This is why the box was positioned exactly between the lights and the platform, even though it could have been placed anywhere else on stage. The routine then ended with the girl lifting the sign while covering her face, and then revealing she was not Deck. By this time, Deck was already on the balcony, having escaped right at the beginning. Behind this mask, only the truth remains till we meet again.